Hi, I'm Trish Armstrong. We renovated this house a few years ago and we wanted to protect the facade of the house but make a contemporary extension which overlooks our garden and enables me to see the children playing and all the wildlife that we have entering our garden daily. The house has added so much light. We use the space in a much better way. The children now have their own bedrooms and I have a really large kitchen which is full of light and enables us to go in and outside very easily. Before I lived in the basement in a kitchen that was very dark, north-facing, with one window. I'd come upstairs and realise it was sunny outside. And now I come down in the morning and I have a really beautiful light coming into the kitchen, whether it's a nice day, whether it's a dark, rainy day. And it's just so easy to live in and the kids love it. They really love the space and they love being outside and me able to see them playing.
My name is Simon Lehman from Graham Mitchell Architects and I was the project architect for this house. The final design came about with us walking around the garden over a number of visits, and it became apparent very early on that with speaking with the client but also experiencing the garden space itself, that really should be the focus of the design. Everything about the house should be about the garden really. So as you walk into the building and through the sort of entrance gallery, then the garden itself would still be hidden from you until you actually walk through the doors in the middle of the plan, and then everything that would be in front of you would just be garden. The rest of the usual bits and pieces that you would need in a living space of a house, the likes of your televisions and your fireplaces and kitchens, would all be hidden in the solid wall behind you, so that the idea being that the floor-to-ceiling glass, 3.2 metre high windows, would allow the garden to come right up to the house itself. So you could almost feel when you're inside the house, in the living space, you would almost feel like you're sitting in the garden. The light, it's capturing the quality of the light in the northeast of Scotland at different times of the day and different times of the year, and allowing in every room you could appreciate it in different ways.
I'm Susie Turley and I work for WT Architecture, and we were the architects for this threshing mill near Biggar. Quite an unusual location. It's just a couple of miles south of Biggar, but really secluded as you come over all the hills. You can barely see another house from it, and it's a collection of disused farmsteading buildings. And the one that we worked on specifically is an old threshing mill that we have sort of reappropriated, reused to make a holiday home for a family. I think the thing that struck us first about the building actually is just the character of the building itself. It has its length as it comes out of the hill on the steep hillside. We felt it was almost like a train actually sort of coming out of a tunnel. It has a real presence with its long walls and its very long roof. And I think that was the character of the building that we most wanted to preserve. And it was quite apparent that we needed to do something where you were occupying the inside of it without breaking the outside shell. Originally always been a farm building, and I think this gave us, and the character of it as well, gave us this opportunity to use some more rustic materials, maybe more hard-wearing, utilitarian materials that would really suit the spaces, yet wouldn't be too expensive but could be articulated well to the building. So we've lined the outside in a spruce plywood where the existing features are, so the original sort of roof and the original walls, but then we've also, the central walls are all in kind of a white plaster to show that they're different from these external walls. There's a simple polished concrete floor, wood-burning stoves to heat the property, and a very open space, so everything, all the light and all the heat can all flow to all the different spaces. And you can also see through and experience, everyone can be in all these different spaces at the same time and connect to each other.
My name's Richard Murphy. This is a house for myself, which I've more or less just finished. It's an interesting project because it sort of deals with a number of different agendas. Most noticeably, how do you put a piece of contemporary design into a very specific bit of the new town of Edinburgh, which is unusual in itself. It's also an exercise in how to squeeze rather a lot of space into a small volume, and it has a certain amount of energy experimentation. And it also has lots of references to architects I've come across and liked over the years, notably obviously Scarpa, but other ones I'm very influenced by, things like the Maison de Verre and Sir John Soane Museum in London in particular. And it's a house full of moving parts, so it has a sort of dynamic between night and day and summer and winter, so it's a different house if you come and visit in the winter than it is from the summer, and that's something that's always interested me in domestic architecture design.
My name's Stephen McLean. I live here in Gattonside. We're really proud of the property that we've built. We moved in September 2013, but I think one of my favourite things is the way that we can just use the outside. So the garden very much runs into the house. The children that we have can play inside, outside. It's not really weather dependent, but it just means that we can really, if we have a nice day in Scotland, which can be a fairly rare occurrence, we can really make the most of the sunshine, get them out, but if there's a shower of rain, they can pop back inside. So I think the fact that we're able to have free-range children as part of our house is a real benefit. I feel with the house, the light is very important. We've got a lot of window space. We've got windows that run all along the front of the house, skylights, both downstairs and upstairs. And I think, again, if it's a light day outside or if it's a grey day, the light really shines in. It's a rare occurrence that we actually need to have the lights on inside. So it really is a bright house and somewhere we very much enjoy living in.
So I'm Vary Grant. I'm an architect and I have a practice called Paper Igloo, and I designed this house for my parents over a 10-year period. I think the main thing for us is the view, really. It's a big panoramic view of Bentee and the surrounding hillside, and I just wanted to make sure that every room had a connection to that view. So every space had some special window that faced the view and gave you a shot of the mountain. I'm really proud of the execution, I think, of the details. It was hard to come up with details that I thought were architecturally satisfying, but that I knew that my dad could build, having never built anything like this before. So that was a big challenge, but I'm really pleased with how that turned out. I just wanted to keep a really simple palette of wood and white painted plaster. So a lot of timber on the floors and the window surrounds and so on, and the timber cladding. Just my parents really like kind of that natural feel of wood, so that was important. And then just to offset that, the kind of white walls and white ceilings. Yeah, a little bit of fun. I think it's always important in an architectural project to have a little bit of fun and inject a bit of whimsy into the design. So again, generally symmetrical, but then there's the odd thing that's off a little bit to kind of add interest, I suppose, visual interest.
I'm Tom Moore. I live here with Susan, my partner, and the reason why we find this property magical is, I think, every time we walk down the street to arrive at the property, we kind of pinch ourselves and say that thing is actually ours, and look at the lines at it, and how welcoming it is, and what it looks like from the street is really welcoming. And then when you come into the property every day, you can see the light, the shadow. It is really a beautiful space to be in because there's so much such a nice feeling about it, and the way that the property flows and it all works very well together makes it feel good. Also, the things that we kind of added and introduced and then to the property also make it feel like a bit of an achievement as well. That's really what makes it feel special.